right, Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. Joining me right now from the Texas Tribune, it's Patrick Svitek. Patrick, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Where are you? Where are you giving us a call from today? Are you still in McKinney?
No, I'm not. I'm back in Austin. A long drive back, but I'm back.
All right. You were in McKinney, though, yesterday at with the I guess it's the beginning of a trial, or at least a phase for Ken Paxton's trial. Go ahead and get us updated on what was going on yesterday. I know some are trying to get a change of venue.
Yeah, so this is a pretrial hearing in the securities fraud case that the Attorney General is fighting at the state level. This is a criminal case. The one he's fighting at the federal level is a civil case, and that's ongoing as well. And so this hearing yesterday in McKinney was largely about this request by the prosecutors to change venue, which is, it's my understanding in these cases, it's rather unusual for the prosecution, not the defense, to request a change in venue, but the prosecutors do want this case moved out of Collin County, which is Ken Paxton's home county. They say that Ken Paxton and his allies, just kind of this amorphous group that they refer to as Team Paxton, have gone out of their way through media coverage and pretrial publicity to quote-unquote taint the jury pool. And so the prosecutors believe they can't get a fair trial in Collin County, so they want it moved out. Now, yesterday at this hearing, the judge did not immediately rule on that question, but he did indicate that he wants to at least try to continue on this path of picking the jury in Collin County. So that was tentatively good news, I think, for Team Paxton, because the judge indicated that he, is not right now looking to move this out of Collin County anytime soon. And one other issue that came up yesterday is the prosecutors made pretty clear that they actually want to have two trials now in this case. The first trial would deal with one of the lesser charges in the case. It's pretty wonky, but it deals with his failure to register with the State Securities Board. And then that second trial would deal with the more serious allegations of securities fraud, which is what a lot of people think about and hear about when they hear about this case, which is that he allegedly misled investors in a company a number of years ago.
So they're wanting to break up the trials.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, Paxton's lawyers are opposed to that. They've already made a big deal out of the taxpayer resources that are going into this case. And so in some ways, that request we heard yesterday from the prosecutors to have two trials plays right into the hand that they're, the case that they're making, at least in the court of public opinion, which is that this is sucking up all these judicial resources.
Very interesting. Let's move on. Let's take a look at what's happening down in Austin. The Texas Senate passing out at least one version. We'll see what the final version, if there is a final version, of the Convention of States looks like. This is something that is not going to go through smoothly in the House, correct?
Well, it remains to be seen a little bit. The opposition to this, or the people who are urging caution on it, are actually some Republicans and some conservative Republicans who either have, concerns just about the, altering the Constitution. They may have a very, originalist view of it, or they just have concerns about this convention if it were to be called, the potential for other states to hijack it and for other issues that are not germane to the original intent to be brought up. And so that's actually where you see, I think, some of the reluctance. And I think even yesterday at the Senate State Affairs Committee meeting, there were two Republican senators who voted for the resolution to proceed, but did say we have to be very, very careful. And, I mean, can you blame them? I mean, this is an issue that deals with the, however far-fetched it may be for this to actually go into in effect nationally, it is an issue that deals with the United States Constitution and altering it. And so, that is something to watch going forward.
Well, and that's been a concern for many. Even though Convention of States, it's limited in its scope. It's still something that people can expose, and you are dealing with the Constitution, and so there are a lot of worries on this. Though again, it's more limited in scope than some other options that people may have. What is the? Have you heard anything kicked around as far as how quickly the House would even begin to look at this and the other issue that the Senate, one of the other issues that the Senate passed last week, which was sanctuary cities? I know you've heard, the Senate and others have been complaining about the House being slow and the tortoise and not really wanting to do anything. Is there anything being kicked around as far as just people talking about when some of this legislation is going to get a look?
I haven't gotten any indication on that front. I will say I was in McKinney all of yesterday, so maybe I missed some murmurs at the Capitol. But right now, I mean, it seems like it's there's still some progress to be made on those issues in the House.
Yeah.
As we pointed out, they just named committees about a week ago, a little over a week ago. So I think they're still in the organizational phase there. But to be clear, there are Convention of States resolution that has already been introduced in the House. There is a sanctuary cities bill in the House. I believe it's being carried by Charlie Guerin, a member of House leadership. And so, there is legislation to work with in that chamber, and I think there is the will to tackle those issues there. But, like so many issues that we've seen fly out of the Senate already this session, I think there's going to be a much slower, more deliberative approach in the House.
Visiting with Patrick Svitek, Texas Tribune, something that I think we've brought up, even though there hasn't been any real news as far as passage, has been this bathroom bill deal. The governor's been very quiet on it until this week when the NFL got involved. What do you read into that? Is this the governor basically pushing back just against the NFL and going, hey, I can look good here while still not coming out and fully endorsing the bathroom bill? Or how's this playing out for Abbott in your mind?
Yeah, I think that's a fair read, that by getting involved in this kind of back and forth with the NFL, or at least looking like he is representing Texas against the NFL in this debate, allows him to kind of inch into the debate a little bit without having to take a position on the legislation or get involved in the legislation. But it can be a slippery slope, and I think you saw that in an interview he did yesterday on Fox News, where yes, he was asked about his war of words with the NFL over this, but then he was asked, to say, how different is this bill from the North Carolina bill? Then he was asked to say, do you think it's going to pass the Texas legislature? And so I think it was a smart play initially, but now we're seeing how he's opening himself to all these other questions about the bill, which, as you pointed out, he's been loath to discuss at length in the past.
Well,
and so it'll be, yeah.
And what I've noticed is in his answers, at least from what I saw on your Twitter account yesterday, he was kind of going back to his old stance of, well, we'll see. This is exactly how democracy plays out. Some may want it to pass, others may not want it to pass. I mean, that's his old line on this, which tells me that it's always popular when you have a governor who comes out and says, "Hey, outsiders, you're not going to tell us what we can do and not do." But this is still a piece of legislation that even a lot of Republicans in the House, at least, aren't sold on. In the Senate, it looks like most people, or at least most Republicans, are sold on it. But I still think it looks like it's still up in the air, even with the governor, right?
I agree with that. But, now the bathroom bills, leading advocates, the lieutenant governor, groups like Texas Values, they can point to Abbott and basically say he's in our column now. He's on our side. I don't know if he would agree with that exactly, but, he certainly has given a boost to their side of the debate this week.
Yeah. Patrick, what are we looking at as far as next week goes down in Austin?
Right now we're still working through that. We're keeping an eye on, what bills are going to come up in different hearings. And like you said, we're starting to keep an eye on what is going to start moving in the House, especially some of these hot button issues that flew out of the Senate in the early stages of the session.
Yeah. Anything? Is there anything going on next week with Paxton, as far as we know?
No, not exactly. There is the federal case that I pointed out, and we're still waiting for a ruling in that. I mean, that could be dismissed really at any given moment right now.
Yeah.
So that is something that we're always keeping an eye on.
All right, Patrick Svitek, people can read, of course, all of your coverage on the Texas Tribune's website, texastribune.org. Anything you're working on for later today or this weekend that people should keep an eye out for?
You're still going through some of the stuff that was mentioned at the Paxton hearing yesterday. This has been a pretty dry case up until yesterday, and there was a lot of new ground covered yesterday. So still going through that, and there may be more to come.
All right, great. Patrick, appreciate your time. We'll visit with you next week.
Have a good weekend.
You too. That's Patrick Svitek, texastribune.org.